This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live as I am basked in green light here on this St. Patty's Day. The luck of the Irish be with you. Luck was definitely not with me last night. You certainly did not lose that money to me. I don't believe I won a hand. Luck of the Irish, my ass. But now it is St. Patrick's Day, so of course I must partake upon the green that I am so famous for. In other words, I'm not high enough for this shit. There's a lot of green going on here tonight, isn't there? You can get one of these cool tie-dyed green shirts from the FREAKIN shop. I just got mine in the other day. It looks sweet on me. Some dude came in here into the chat the other day and was saying I had cheap merchandise. I'm like, no, and I was wearing one of my shirts at the time. But no, sir, it is not cheap merchandise. Also, like, it is far more green in here than what it actually looks like on this camera. To give you some idea, we can flip over to the second camera. See, it is incredibly green here in my studio. The green looks kind of soft from the other camera. Unfortunately, I don't have the sweet 4K camera that I had a couple weeks ago. Kept glitching out on me. I keep getting people asking me when I'm going to start streaming. Well, I have an issue. The camera I was going to use for this show and use this camera for streaming, I had to send back. Got a replacement. It worked worse than the original camera. There for a while, you could see me in real nice, and my face wasn't so washed out. I actually had color. Because this camera's not bad. I wanted a higher resolution camera, and I tried to get one cheaply. You can't get quality and pay bargain basement prices. So, in honor of St. Patty's Day, I'm going to hit some of the green. Especially, I really needed that, since the stories we're going to have to start off with are so goddamn horrific. I did once use spray on tanner, and it looked like I stuck my hands into a pumpkin. Just like orange shit all over, and they were like runny. It looked really weird. This was when I was in high school. Some fucks don't let you live that shit down. Atlanta shooting suspect bought his gun the same day he allegedly killed 8 people. Now, we went over this story last night. We were looking at some other story, and this was breaking. We did not know last night that all of the shootings were connected. When I reported the story and we were just getting the first details, I think they had apprehended a suspect, and they knew that he was connected to one of the shootings, but we knew that there were like 3 different shootings. So we now know that all of them were connected. They were all the same suspect. Let's, I do have a picture of him here. Hold on. Because it, like, his eyes were fucking with me. Look at this motherfucker's eyes. I don't even know what his name is. But, like, there's just something absent there. So this is the man that shot at least a dozen people yesterday, killing 8. The cops have had a really weird response. I don't know if we're going to go into that here in these stories, but they said things like he was a sex addict and he was having a really bad day. Robert Aaron Long is the name of the killer that we were just looking at. When Robert Aaron Long walked into the Big Woods Goods gun shop on Tuesday, he walked out with a 9mm handgun, and just hours later, allegedly, he has admitted to it, used it to kill 8 people at 3 massage parlors in Atlanta, Georgia. The 21-year-old was able to purchase his weapons the same day as the alleged crime. Because Georgia has no waiting period for purchasing a gun. The state also doesn't require weapon sellers to do a background check for licensed gun owners. A state-issued photo ID is all that's required. Gun policy is at the top of the state's agenda perennially, said Professor Timothy Lighton, a law professor at Georgia State University and author of the case study Suing the Gun Industry. He goes on to say, when there is gun legislation pending, it's usually legislation that liberalizes both gun purchases and the right to carry in various venues. Waiting periods, the delay times between a prospective gun buyer's decision to purchase and the moment they receive their firearm, are from anywhere between 3 to 14 days. That time is meant to prevent potentially violent gun buyers from acting impulsively on rage and often short-lived but intense emotions. While the Atlanta gunman's motive isn't known yet, experts say waiting periods save lives. Just a few days can reduce gun homicides by 17%, according to a 2017 study highlighted by the Giffords Law Center. A state-mandated wait period can also give law enforcement time to do a more thorough background check on prospective gun owners. Only 13 states and Washington, D.C., including California, Rhode Island, and Hawaii, have some variation of waiting periods in place. I can't believe the number is that low. The Atlanta shooting suspect targeted 3 massage parlors in the area, beginning at 5 p.m. local time on Tuesday, each about an hour apart. He allegedly killed 8 people, 7 women between the ages of 33 and 49, and one man before heading toward Florida. Only one of his victims survived, and they are currently in stable condition. 6 of those who died were Asian women. Police said they believed he had plans to carry out similar targeted attacks in the neighboring state. With the help of the suspect's family, the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office was able to identify and track down the wanted shooter on Tuesday night. After a brief chase, state troopers knocked him off the road and apprehended their suspect. We're going to talk about the tactic here in just a little bit. Police found the handgun in his vehicle and are conducting tests to determine if it matches the weapon used in the shootings. Prosecutors charged the alleged Atlanta shooter with 4 counts of murder and 1 count of assault on Wednesday afternoon. The police chief also said it was too early to determine if the shootings were a hate crime, and when speaking to police, the alleged gunman denied that race played any role. I think I have one of his posts. I have not verified this. So this was just circulating online, so take that for what you will. This is not verified. But apparently, this was allegedly from his account. It says yesterday. I'm not sure that the screenshot would have been taken yesterday. China is engaged in a COVID cover-up. They blocked our investigators from going to their lab in Wuhan and finding the truth about the experiments they were conducting there. If they're innocent, why block? He's talking about 500,000 Americans, so this is a recent post. All Americans need to fight back against China. Now, Republicans, Democrats, we all need to stand together against China, the greatest evil of our time. But now the police chief did float the notion that he was a sex addict. Here we go. Instead, the suspect admitted to having a sex addiction and said he targeted the massage parlors because he associated them with temptation. It's not yet clear whether the alleged shooter had visited the businesses before or whether any of the victims were sex workers. But massage parlors, particularly ones that employ Asian and migrant women, are often considered spots where clients can find happy endings. Still, hate crimes against Asian Americans have increased significantly since the start of the pandemic. We're going to talk about a couple of those here in just a second. Since March 2020, there have been more than 3,795 incidents of hate and discrimination targeting Asian Americans. This is according to Stop AAPI. Cities like New York and Oakland have seen a rash of attacks on the Asian community. Addressing ongoing discrimination was one of President Joe Biden's first priorities when he took office earlier this year, ordering the Department of Justice to monitor the attacks and work towards preventing them. Now, here is an interesting little tidbit about our shooter. Apparently, his church has tried to disappear from the internet. Suspected shooter Robert Aaron Long brought a Bible to school every day and carried in his hands down the hallway. The Southern Baptist Church, attended by the alleged Atlanta mass shooter, has responded to the tragedy by attempting to disappear from the internet. And of course he went to church. That doesn't shock me one bit. I'm sure he thought what he was doing was just. All these motherfuckers do. After news broke Tuesday that Robert Aaron Long, 21, stood accused of killing 8 people, including 6 Asian women at a massage parlor in Atlanta, the Crab Apple First Baptist Church's online presence went dark. Let's see, this was its website. It has gone private. Its Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts were shuttered. The church issued a brief statement to media outlets on Wednesday describing its leadership as heartbroken for everyone involved. We grieve for the victims and their families, and we continue to pray for them. The church didn't respond to follow-up questions from Vice News about why the web pages had been taken down. Individual elders of the church didn't answer emails that requested comment. Yet the church is unlikely to recede from the spotlight anytime soon after being thrust into a crisis following Long's arrest and indictment on 8 counts of murder. Police say Long described himself as a sex addict and explained his own motivations in terminology that echoed traditional Christian moral prohibitions around sex and temptation. Wow. Comments by police suggesting the incident was all about sex were criticized by some observers for appearing to shift blame to the victims and for taking the suspect's claim that the killing spree wasn't racially motivated at face value. Get duh. Police have said they don't have enough evidence yet to classify the incident as a hate crime, even though most of Long's victims were Asian women. He's believed to have frequented the massage parlors he attacked. In a cached post, the link is weird. On its now inaccessible website, the church offered an interpretation of the seventh commandment. Oh, this is... Oh, so it's trying to link the church here. I don't even see what they're referencing. But I'm also just skimming over it. According to them on the church's page, it says there's an edict that means God requires that we abstain from sexual immorality and live purely and faithfully, whether in marriage or in single life, avoiding all impure actions, looks, words, thoughts, or desires, and whatever might lead them. Yeah, doesn't it? And my, like, as soon as we read the story last night, Dave's like, that's an incel. And he was right. He smelled it a mile away. Because my first thought process was definitely a hate crime towards Asians. But clearly, the kid had some sort of sexual repression issues. Probably wrapped into a hatred of Asians. Now, a lot of people brought up the obvious point. He was taken alive like many white mass shooters have been. Yet for some reason, black children get shot. We're going to talk about one of those here in a little bit. Another heart-wrenching story. The church sure is acting guilty of something. The church that the Atlanta shooter went to took down all of its web presence as soon as the identity of the Atlanta shooter was revealed. So now the suspect was actually stopped during a chase. Georgia State Patrol used a tactical pursuit intervention technique maneuver Tuesday on a freeway to stop the suspect after 3 deadly shootings in and around Atlanta left at least 8 people dead. So, Crisp County officials took Long into custody around 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday, about 30 minutes after the county became aware of his location. The PIT maneuver, which caused the vehicle to spin out of control, according to the Crisp County Sheriff Billy Hancock, is often deployed to end pursuits. Long was taken into custody and has been charged with murder. Another picture of Crazy Eyes over here. Police said video footage showed Long's vehicle in the area of the Atlanta spas about the time of those attacks after his SUV was seen on surveillance video pulling up to the Ackworth Spa. Atlanta and Cherokee County authorities were working to confirm the cases are related. We do know that they are definitely related. Absolutely both. All wrapped into one. Now, as we mentioned, this is just a long line of hate attacks against Asian Americans. Asian American chef pushes for a hate crime investigation after his ramen shop was vandalized. So this was from the Washington Post yesterday. Mike Nugent found the racist slurs covering his restaurant's window and patio tables. He saw the best and the worst of the community at once. This is one of those flowery written articles. People came out to help clean up after his San Antonio ramen shop was vandalized on Sunday, following his national TV appearance last week. Interesting.
This mass debate and even though that, I'm all for Texas opening up 100%. I think we worked really hard to get to that point. If not to 75%, but I'm not going to see the full 100% because I'm going to have guests who take this seriously, will come and will require masks, and I have the other guests who will say, you know what, I don't think we need to wear masks. This is silly. And they're not going to dine at my establishment. So we're back to square one where it's 50-50.
Mike, that's an interesting point because the governor and others will say, listen, we have small business owners' backs here. But you're saying, and you've said you've heard similar from other business owners, that, I mean, is it that customers would prefer to some degree that you keep the mask mandate up? In other words,
yes.
With mask than without? Is that what you're finding?
There is absolutely no, I've only really been out of the house once. I went to the little hippie grocery store near my house. I felt safe there. Everybody was wearing a mask, following social distancing guidelines, hand sanitizer everywhere. The establishment was taking it seriously. I went to a Family Dollar and everybody was coughing all over everything and nobody was wearing a mask. The woman that was working behind the counter had her mask under her chin. And she was like, she's probably dead of corona right now. Like, this was months and months ago. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, nope, not going outside anymore. So, of course, nobody's going to go and patronize her, or at least not enough people to keep it thriving are going to go to his establishment. So it's going to be a slow, painful death. What I've been saying all along. And you need these restrictions, you need government shutdown in order to give employers cover, in order to be able to allow them to apply for emergency funds, in order to let their employees be able to claim unemployment. You can't fucking reason with right-wingers. So, San Antonio Police Chief William McGinnis voiced his disgust at the incident during a news conference on Tuesday. I try not to display my anger when I see things like this, but this is nothing but bigoted, cowardly move to do something like that. Remember, this was no mask, kung flu, commie. This is absolutely right-wing propaganda. This is Ben Shapiro, Fox News, OAN bullshit. The Sunday incident targeting his store appears to combine two disturbing national trends: a backlash to mask mandates that often turned violent and destructive. We've seen that with Maskless Moses. I crashed his show last night. And a surge of racist attacks and threats against Asian Americans, which some advocates tie to then President Donald Trump's anti-China rhetoric over the pandemic. Among the terms spray painted in red on Nugent's window on Sunday was the phrase Kung Flu, a racist slur that Trump helped popularize during his campaign rallies and other appearances. And the dude's immunocompromised. So you can't blame him for not wanting maskless people all up in his fucking restaurant. And you can say it's private property, he can enforce his own mask mandate, but it's a lot harder when you don't have the backing of the state. Just like the woman that we saw in the bank the other day, which, by the way, we have an update on her. Stay tuned for that here in just a second. That's the one you watched on your stream the other night too. We've got an update on her. You're not going to believe it. She was arrested again. Yes, I said it. She was arrested again. The entire country watched her get arrested once. The one that tried to speak Spanish, who was telling people to assault the cop. So this is another dude spewing racist insults at a gas station owner in Oakland.
Keep saying it.
This is just a portion of the video captured by an Oakland gas station owner late Thursday morning.
Go you, mama. Go you, mama. You're not from here, you Asian. All the Asian, yes, is small.
The racially charged insults.
Wait a minute, was he
The man
like
went
Middle
inside
Eastern
to
or
pay for
something?
his
Was he
gas
trying to
bills
do
in
an
his
Asian
final
accent,
quarter.
doing it really
My
shitty?
dad, she was just like, whoa, wait, like, hold on there. Like, you kind of have to take this to the bank because I can't fit this all in the till.
When station owner Sewell, who doesn't want to use his last name, stepped in to smooth out the situation.
He just started mouthing off. You should go back to China, like that.
After 20 years in the business, Sewell took the insults in stride.
We were just like busting out laughing. Like it's just so unbelievable.
Oh, that annoys him even
Like,
more.
verbal stuff doesn't really bother me.
But things changed when Sewell says the man threatened to come back again, and Sewell followed him outside to capture his license.
Touche.
That's when things took a nasty turn. Sewell kept recording.
He ends up reversing his car at me. I took it as like an assault.
Sewell says he noticed the man reach into his pocket. He grabbed nearby cleaning spray to protect himself, but not before this.
The guy had pulled out his pepper spray and he had shot me in the face.
I mean, he looks vaguely Asian, but he's definitely
To
American.
get it taken care of.
You can see on this surveillance video, Sewell's staff rush to his aid as they call Oakland police. Sewell plans to press charges.
That's cool.
And shares this message with the Bay Area.
But why he
I
grabbed
appreciate
cleaning
that.
spray to try to protect himself? What, he
Share
was
my
gonna
story
spray the
because,
dude? Like try to
this
get him in
kinda
the
sucks.
eyes?
I hope this kind of
With the ammonia?
To like, hey, everybody kind of goes through the same stuff, and we just have to understand that.
Damn.
First 5 California.
All right, this is the one. I hate to have to talk about this. That's what he looks vaguely Asian, but like clearly he is American. You can tell by the way he's talking, as if it fucking matters. Houston police shot a 1-year-old in the head. Now he's fighting for his life. Absolutely tragic. A 1-year-old boy who was shot in the head by Houston police earlier this month remains in pediatric intensive care, fighting for his life. Now attorneys for the boy's mother say they're planning to file a lawsuit over the incident. I'd fucking hope so. Reading from a written statement during a press conference on Tuesday, Daisha Smalls said her son, Legend, has struggled to breathe on his own ever since he was shot by an officer who was pursuing a robbery suspect. That's another one of the things that just irks me, is so many of these police incidents are so much worse than the supposed crime they were trying to commit. What the police end up doing is far more egregious than the supposed crime that they were policing. Yeah, just American. If you're in the fucking country, chances are you're an American. Especially if you're working behind the counter at a fucking gas station. Hang all the police, even if he doesn't die. Oh, I should go. Ooh. Don't take me down, Twitch. Reading from a written statement during a press conference on Tuesday. Oh, I'm sorry. I already did that part. Her legal team believes that the cop acted unreasonably by gunning down an armed suspect when innocent people were also in the line of fire. My baby didn't deserve to be shot. No, he fucking didn't. Smalls had just gotten back into her vehicle with her son after pumping gas late at night on March 3rd when an armed man opened her door, shouted at her, and told her to get out of the car. Ben Crump, one of Smalls' attorneys, said during a press conference on Tuesday, the man, identified as Broderick Woods, was attempting to carjack her after he chased a black Mercedes-Benz following a short pursuit by the cops. The car was a known suspect vehicle in several aggravated robberies, and officers had tried to initiate a traffic stop. Woods jumped on top of Smalls and tried to put her in gear as she screamed that she had a child in the back seat. She said, I wouldn't give him my car because I let him know that I have a child in my car and that I would not leave my car without my son. Police said that officers surrounded the vehicle and told the man to drop his weapon. When he didn't, one officer, identified only as E. Garza, fired their weapon more than once, striking him. The officer also shot Legend. Why would they shoot into the car knowing she was in the car, not knowing who else was in the car, that there could have been children, that there could have been others in the car that they shot? And regrettably and tragically, little Legend will live for the rest of his life with the consequences of their decision to shoot into his mama's car, even though they knew she was in there. Woods, the criminal that tried to pull the carjacking, has died of his injuries. Troy Finner, executive assistant chief for the police department, said in a press conference after the shooting that he didn't think the officer realized a child was in the back seat at the time. However, Houston police said in a statement March 4th that the officer feared for the safety of the citizen and her 1-year-old child, who were both still in the vehicle, before firing his weapon. Thank you. The number one rule with a gun is to know what you're shooting at. But then, like, fucking cops, first of all, I can't remember what the percentage is, but it's insanely low. Like being able to hit the target. I think it was in the single digits. Can somebody verify that for me? Yes, and for some reason, we train police to just come out and fucking unload clips into everything. And they even teach them, shoot into the... I don't think they do it anymore, but like the, God, what was that one training seminar? I think Sacha Baron Cohen pranked that motherfucker. It was like Copageddon or like it was some fucking crazy ass name. But they taught like center mass, just shoot, unload the fucking clips. Constantly. And I've got to wonder, police in Nashville put this video out the other day when I saw it. It actually happened in Illinois. I want to say last month. This is a cop going through a red light. Looked like the cop was speeding. They did indeed run a red light, though. Damn. Yeah, they released it, said, please stop at all red lights. There have been numerous times that the cops have been in the wrong because they were not following laws. Not obeying traffic laws. All right. The woman from the bank video the other day, I think we watched it on Monday night. Media Winch played it on her stream. The cop handcuffs her, and she's like, she started speaking Spanish. She's wanting people to try to take out the cop. They get her out of the bank. She was arrested then. She's now been arrested after refusing to wear a mask at Office Depot. Here's the video from the bank. We'll go ahead, we'll jump into it here.
Taking away people's human rights.
Okay.
Oh,
let's go
now
outside.
is
Let's
he
go
going to
outside.
shoot me, people? Is he going to shoot me for trying not to breathe?
Cool.
Come on, dude.
Don't do that. Oh, no.
Do not touch me.
That's resisting arrest. Let's jump a little bit further ahead.
Okay, stand up. Stand up.
I refuse to listen to the...
Come on.
You know what? I think
She's getting your stuff. Come on.
I think you broke my freaking foot.
Okay.
I think you broke my... But yet, even though she said she thinks the cop broke her foot, He was able to hobble her ass over to the Office Depot. Terry Wright, the woman seen in a viral video refusing to wear a mask at the Bank of America location, has been arrested after refusing to wear a mask at an Office Depot in Texas City. According to police, Wright was asked to wear a mask or leave Office Depot. Texas police officers were dispatched to the scene around 9 a.m. on March 17th. Okay, so that was earlier today. Officers say Wright refused to give them a date of birth, but one officer recognized her from the video of the Galveston incident at Bank of America. Let's see. I hadn't seen this. Did she give a
and first tonight at 9
interview to the
arrest warrant has now been issued for a
TV station?
65-year-old woman who refused to wear a mask inside a Galveston bank. Police releasing body camera video of the arrest earlier. Our Randy Wallace live tonight in Hitchcock after speaking to the woman about what happened here. Randy.
Hey, Jonathan, we all know the mask mandate in Texas no longer exists.
Randy looks like a cool guy. I would go to the club on a weekend with Randy.
To wear masks. 65-year-old Terry White.
That dude is getting into some fun shit.
Sticking to her guns to the bitter end.
The lady who was at the door said, do you have a mask? I said, no, thank you. I don't need one.
The bank manager told Terry White if she didn't wear a mask and wasn't going to leave, Galveston PD would be called. The officer gave White the option to wear a mask or leave.
Ma'am, listen, we're going to do this the easy way.
There's a lot of things that the police are trained to do the opposite of.
That's hilarious.
As opposed to, like, you know, what the military is trained to do.
White, who didn't follow his demands.
Come on, dude.
Don't do that. Oh, no.
J Miles, if you would like to have a discussion with me, 917-830-4359, or you can hop in the Discord. The link is below. I would be happy to discuss whatever is on your mind. What you wanting to rap about? J Miles 338. Dude. I'm not high enough for this shit. That's a no. So while Texas has lifted their mask mandate, which is the reason why this woman thinks she's able to go into businesses and not wear a mask, she doesn't understand the concept of private businesses being able to force their own rules. Dr. Fauci was giving an address at the National Cathedral yesterday.
Good evening. My name is Tony Fauci, and I'm the director of the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
Fuck yeah, Media Winch.
Institutes of Health. I first want to underscore all the important points that were made by my colleague and friend, Dr. Francis Collins.
This motherfucker is like double or triple masked over here. He's got a cloth mask along with like an N95.
And some of the fiction associated with vaccines.
And that should tell you everything right there. When the professionals, that's the point I was trying to make with Maskless Moses last night. When the professionals, I made a point about surgeons, and he took it because like you only get a brief amount of time in order to be able to get information in before Ben will cut you off. I said something about surgeons. I didn't get to expound upon my point. But if you see people that actually know what they're talking about, have studied this shit, and they're wearing 2 masks, do what they're doing. Don't listen to a dumb fuck that's able to grow. He's able to grow a sweet beard. I'll give him that. Ben Martin. Trump did indeed hide the fact. I don't know if I still have the story about it. He is now coming out and telling people I didn't do the story, but he is promoting getting a vaccine now that the story leaked that he got a vaccine back in January. Now, he was not invited to the previous presidents, the Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Jimmy Carter little get-together that they did, Barack Obama, where they made a little PSA. But he is now, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's coming out and he's trying to do his own PSAs, because he's trying to cop some of the spotlight from that PSA. He's trying to do, oh, well, they did it. I want to do my own thing. I'll do it better.
How do these vaccines work? I often get asked that question by people who understandably want to learn more about what it is that's being injected into their arm.
Or dumb fucks that have no clue what they're talking about.
That we have for COVID-19 all have one thing in common. It takes a single protein of the virus, not the whole virus. And that protein gets expressed in different ways depending upon what particular vaccine platform that is being used in the vaccine that you will have. Some have a little snippet of messenger RNA that codes for the protein, the spike protein on the virus. Others.
Now, this was part of their vaccination drive. Vaccination drive at the National Cathedral.
That when you inject it in, it makes the protein. The body thinks that it's the virus, but it's not the virus. It's a harmless protein component of the virus. So that when the body sees that, it thinks it's the virus, and it makes a very powerful immune response to protect you for when you do get exposed to the virus. So how do we know these vaccines work? We know they work because they've been tested
through clinical
tens
trials
of thousands of individuals. 30,000 people in the Moderna trial, 44,000 people.
They have now started
trial,
to test one of them on children
in the Johnson & Johnson or J&J trial. And there's more to come because there are also more vaccine candidates that we're evaluating. A common question.
But now, one of the reasons why you'll notice Dr. Fauci doubling up on the masks is because he understands what's going on out there, and we're in a race against time. Italy back to lockdown over Easter weekend amid surging COVID-19 cases.
This past Friday, we saw more travelers pass through our airports, over 1.3 million. This is the most travelers that we've had in a single day since last March, before the WHO declared the global pandemic. We have seen footage of people enjoying spring break festivities maskless. This is all in the context of still 50,000 cases per day. Equally concerning are the
far worse than it was last year at this time when we tried to lock
down. Countries that have had strikingly similar trends and surges during the pandemic as the United States. Each of these countries has had naders like we are having now, and each took an upward trend after they disregarded known mitigation strategies. They simply took their eye off the ball. I'm pleading with you for the sake of our nation's health. These should be warning signs for all of us. Cases climbed last spring, they climbed again in the summer. They will climb now if we stop taking precautions when we continue to get more and more people vaccinated.
Now, Italy has been placed on lockdown once again amid surging COVID-19 cases. Starting Monday, Italians in the most populated regions will be required to stay home except for work. Now, this is this past Monday. Much of the country will be locked down on Easter weekend for the second year in a row. Ever-mounting numbers of ICU beds occupied by COVID-19 patients, steadily rising daily caseloads, and infection transmission predominantly driven by a virus variant first discovered in Britain have combined to make Italian Premier Mario Draghi's new government apply red zone designation on more regions, including for the first time since the colored tiered system was created last fall on Lazio, the region including Rome. Cases have been rising across the country in excess of 25,000 a day over the past 6 weeks. This as Italy's vaccination campaign is hit by delays. Only a little over 3% of the country is vaccinated, according to Johns Hopkins University data. Now, last time I checked, we were at about 7%, but I'm sure that's gone up. We are probably into double digits now. Where's it? It's the U.S. You're supposed to put it at the top of the list. %11 of the population has been fully vaccinated. Still a relatively low number, but we are doing better than Italy. That's a very good question. Does the Vatican have mask mandates? I would assume yeah, they're their own country. I was getting ready to say I would assume Italy has masks, but like the Vatican's got to do its own thing. Also imposed a mask mandate, although a maskless Pope Francis, before the most recent measures, was criticized for holding an indoor general audience on October the 7th. So apparently they do have at least some sort of informal mask mandate. But that's the weird thing about people at the Vatican is like, you talk to like, or you watch videos of people talking to like the bishops that work in the Vatican. I don't even think they believe in God. These motherfuckers are like smoking cigarettes, like talking about existential crises and shit. Like, oh, this shit doesn't mean anything. Every single time I've seen one of them on camera. Like, they don't give a fuck. Dumbass Pope. Oh. Oh, it's a corporation. It's not even but it's like it's its own. It has sovereignty, right? Corporation sounds about right. COVID-19 cases surge in some rural counties.
A new surge of COVID-19 is being reported in a rural West Virginia county.
Local health leaders say
I just said something like that.
Them to remind people we're not out of the woods yet. 13 News reporter Haley Kosick joins us now from Nicholas County. Haley, what's going on?
What up, Haley?
Yeah, Rob and Marilee, Nicholas County is 1 out of 6 counties in gold on the state's COVID-19 county alert map, while 36 counties.
Each state has this like different fucking colored tier system. I don't know what gold fucking means.
Most people would agree that getting back to normal.
It sounds good. They're in the gold.
Find COVID-19 no longer a concern.
I don't worry about stuff like that. I don't. I mean, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't.
Others are more cautious.
Well, we're talking about a place that's probably 20, 30 years behind the times.
Or something, then I'll just wait and come back tomorrow.
Right now, Nicholas County has the 10th highest COVID-19 positivity rate in the state. It's one reason confirmation of 4 positive COVID-19 cases at the Krebsville actually set health officials in motion.
Now that you mean, like, I'm surprised that skating rinks actually haven't made a comeback. Like with a retro theme, like I'm surprised there's not like a chain of skating rinks that has like a real throwback disco theme to it. And I kind of think like that would be successful, you know, outside of a pandemic, of course. Man, everything goes in cycles. That vintage shit is in. Don't even do it on digital. No, you've got to spend some vinyl. I worked at a skating rink one time, actually. I DJ'd at a skating rink. This was back when I still smoked, and I went outside to take a smoke break. The owner of the skating rink didn't trust computers. And like, so I leave my computer running, because like, I've been DJing for fucking years off of computers, just like my programs, just like, I've already programmed what I'm doing for fucking the next hour. So, like, I'm walking outside smoking a cigarette. I walk back in, that motherfucker has a fucking record on a turntable. And, like, my computer's still going, but he's got, like, the source down, got his turntable. I'm like, what are you doing? Freaked him out that I walked out of the building to smoke a cigarette. In 2013, 2012, maybe? God damn. Rural America is pretty wild. But while the CDC director is urging not to lift mask mandates,
Thank you, Mr.
Dr. Rand Paul knows way better than the CDC director. Dr. Rand Paul, who is an optometrist. When I call him Dr. Rand Paul, I do it like very facetiously. I think he had his optometry license suspended or some shit. Like he got caught practicing without a license, if I'm not mistaken. Don't hold me to that. You should look that one up. But of course, he's got an opinion on mask mandates.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to welcome our panel today. Welcome to day 367
Dr. Sponge.
Of 15 days to slow the spread. Proponents of the economic lockdowns promised it would be just 15 days to flatten the curve. Instead of 15 days,
I want, like, and Rand Paul should be smart enough to know this. Maybe he's not. Like, we're dealing with a novel virus that we do not know how it behaves. So we didn't know how contagious it was. When they're talking about like the 15 days to contain the spread, like, we didn't know that it was like airborne and spread as viciously as it does. So, like, they were dealing with the information that they had at the time, Rand.
Has now gone on for over a year. Early on in the pandemic, as we all remember, there were projections that hospitals would be full and have to turn away people. Medical equipment was in short supply.
That happened.
Businesses were closing. What they hoped would be on a temporary basis as governments started locking down their economies and telling people to stay home.
Yes.
At that time,
to save lives.
When programs like PPP were created, no one was under the belief that we would still be doing this a year later, with no end in sight. The PPP program was devised.
Oh, that's kind of we do kind of have an end in sight right now.
And people on payroll at their job instead of having to be laid off. It's been a year now. The virus is in full retreat. Hospitalizations are declining rapidly. Vaccines have been rolling out since December. Instead of touting these incredible successes and offering people hope, governments keep moving the goalposts. Our hospitals are not overcrowded. We don't have PPE shortages. All the reasons the economy locked down in the first place are no longer a concern.
The hospitals were absolutely overcrowded 5 weeks ago.
It's time to reopen our economy. What we have learned is that this continued stream of money from Washington has encouraged way too many governors and mayors to keep their economies closed indefinitely. They stifle their economies, roll yellow police tape across store shelves, and threaten small businesses with revoking licenses or worse, then demand Washington clean up their mess when the businesses have to shut down for good. We should demand these elected officials stop imposing arbitrary rules and stop illogically picking winners and losers.
They're not arbitrary rules.
And borrowing trillions of dollars, when the best thing we can do to provide relief now is to simply reopen the economy. Congress has spent more than $800 billion on the Paycheck Protection Program alone, and according to our estimates, burn through $3.5 billion a day in taxpayer dollars. In just 1 year, the Small Business Administration went from being $1 million agency to nearly a
I thought you'd be drinking.
Agency. No agency is equipped for that kind of
It's St. Patty's Day. You should have a
adequate controls.
What's an Irish drink? Is it like Guinness and Irish beer?
Well-financed businesses,
Irish car bombs,
and organizations like Planned Parenthood.
Irish whiskey.
Despite the widespread evidence of fraud and misuse within the PPP, Congress expanded and funded the program 4 times. The president's recently signed $1.9 trillion package.
I can't believe watching Rand Paul made somebody hungry.
Signs of economic recovery. And many in Congress are discussing yet another extension.
That usually does the opposite for most people.
Deadline. Meanwhile, the Small Business Administration Inspector General.
I actually I don't know if you guys can see it, but we're getting quite the light show over here. I'll kind of change the camera. Apparently I'm in a lot of danger at the moment. I'm in an area that is prone to super outbreaks of tornadoes, and it usually happens around this time each year. And I'm right in the window, and my phone has been going off all fucking day. It has looked wild outside. And it sounds wild right now, like it is fucking rumbling. Weird for it to happen here on St. Patty's Day. The fountain on the north lawn of the White House is dyed green for St. Patty's Day. That's pretty fucking cool. I would love for you to come over. You have an open invitation to my house at any time. I slept with the doors open last night with the storms going. It was fantastic. But I have to watch Smokey. I'm sure he's not in here. He is. If I had to guess, I would say that Smokey is behind the toilet right now, cowering, shivering. He hates storms, and I feel so sorry for him. That's one of the reasons why. I'm going to wrap this up a little early tonight because I'm going to go hug the kitty and make sure that he is okay. Because he really... The other cats do not fucking care at all. Sox is asleep right there. He just sleeps right through the storm. Alright, that'll do it for me tonight. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We will see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.